Guys, it's Clarissa Banner here. It's a beautiful Sunday afternoon. It's hot, but I like the heat, so I'm outside recording today. Just chilling, the Sunday best. Um, Today I wanted to talk a little bit about a book that's touched my core that I love so much. I completed the book I finished reading it about a couple of weeks ago, maybe about a month ago actually. And I was reading The Fisherman, and I put that one down in order to start and finish this one because I couldn't wait to finish The Fisherman before getting into Yaa Gyasi's HomeGoing, right? Um, Yaa Gyasi's book it's beautifully amazing. I don't know how well, I'll tell you how she did it. The book basically talks about two sisters who were split at a very, very young age before, pre-colonial days. One got left in Cape Coast, the other one lived with her mom for a little bit in the Ashanti region. And it's a tale about how the two women both ended up at the Cape Coast Castle. One was married to the white governor, and the other was sold into slavery, and she was processed through the Cape Coast Castle, was underneath the dungeons that her sister was resided in, and she got shipped over to America, and the one stayed and experienced colonialism through the decades. The book spans over decades, actually, several generations. It goes from pre-colonial Africa to around the Harlem Renaissance time and a little bit beyond, like a generation after that. And I just love how she was able to progress the story of all of these women, all of these people, these lineages, the Fanti or Ghanaian lineage from the one daughter that was left in Cape Coast. She traces the lineage, and through her tracing, she talks about the history of each generation. So you'll learn so much about the time these people were going through, the times they were going through, the historical facts that these people were going through, and then you also learn about the African American experience through the daughter that got shipped off to the U.S. Right? So you get to learn of the plight and the history, African American history, through just going through the stories of her descendants. So it was so cool in that I didn't really know how she was able to. Before reading, I was curious to see how she was going to be able to tell the story, because it's over 3 centuries, right? But she did. Every chapter could stand on its own. Every chapter talked about one person, one descendant, and their life, their story, and you get to learn a little bit about the time that they're living in. Not only is it a beautiful story, not only is it well woven, not only do you get to learn about how institutional racism and systemic injustices have impacted Black people on the continent and in the diaspora, but you get to learn a lot of historical facts along the way that, quite frankly, is lost on us, unfortunately, on both sides of the Atlantic. So this story, I thought Americana, told my story the best, but this honestly hit home for me because I'm Fanti, my family's Fanti, and just reading the Fanti names and some of the Fanti history and the strife between I'm married to an Ashanti man. The strife between the Ashantis and the Fantis and the British and the role they played, and how that bond was broken between those two, between the Akans, it hit home for me. Like, even just reading names like the Fanti names, like, what were some of the Fanti names that were in here? Ifia and, Fifi. These are all Fanti names I'm so familiar with that just hit home. Like, I haven't read a book that explored Fanti land as closely as HomeGoing did. So this book was definitely a hitter for me because and it's just not just the fancy part of it either. The Black American side too, like Africans in the Americas and the history there, and seeing how policies and behaviors have shaped over time based on what was going on at the time. Really hit home for me as well. Like I could relate to both sides, and it was amazing to see how Yaa Gyasi was able to incorporate some of the colloquialisms and the language of, you know, Southern Black America and Ghanaian Africans or Ghanaian and Fantis and Ashantis and you know, down south Black Americans and up north Harlem. You know, that was all so beautiful and well done, Yaa Gyasi. This was a really, really good novel. I would give this a 5-star rating because I think everyone should read this. I can't remember where I read this. It said this book is definitely a book. If anyone has ever made a case for reparations, it's this book, because you get to see through the power of story how Black people have been impacted from Africa to the U.S. So it's an amazing story. For anyone who has said that Black people just need to kind of pull themselves up by their own bootstraps, this book really helps you see how it's not that easy. There's so many things that need to take place for Black people's, for our minds to be liberated from some of the trauma that we faced. Some people have had some criticisms for how the story ended. I actually love how the story came together in the end, and I'm not going to give any spoilers here. I really, really enjoyed the ending of the story. I think it was a beautiful way to bring it all together. I highly encourage you to pick up this novel, pick up a copy for a friend, pick up a copy for your future children, because this needs to be in the history books. Like, this needs to be required reading, okay? Required reading for anyone in the diaspora, because it's just like that. Good job, Yaa Gyasi. This was a really good book. Pick it up and give it a read and let me know your thoughts. Check me out at thisafropolitanlife.com for more reviews of other books in the diaspora. Ta-ta.